So namaste, contrary to what most people are aware of as the meaning and what they associate, represents a very, very important human value, which is the common unifying connection between each one of us, human beings in the world, and everything which is there in the world. Of course, I don't go and tell namaste to a non-living thing, but virtually when I say namaste, I'm not only recognizing that which is, the meaning is, I bow down, I salute, I recognize, I acknowledge the God in you, which is same as the God in me. This is what I'm telling. Okay, so just 1 second, I'm going to put this very clearly. Yeah. So in one word, we are telling, I see God in you. And irrespective of religion, caste, creed, whatever, right? We are telling that God in you is same as a God in me. That unifies everybody in the universe. So in such a simple word, as opposed to telling hi, bye, and all that, if you say namaste, it is and if you tell it knowing the meaning, then what you're doing is you acknowledge that. And in that process, it's a reminder every moment, every person, that you see the God in the other person. So how does this translate then into a place like Ayurveda? Because Ayurveda, again, presupposes, or it's based on the fact that many years back, and when I say, again, in paucity of time, I'm going to tell certain things, not get into a more interactive thing. A lot of people will think that Ayurveda is 2,500 years old, 3,000 years old. Somebody will put a number of 5,000 years old. But the way we have to look at it, Ayurveda is as old as creation, right? Or if at all, you might say as the beginning of life on earth, as old as that. Why do we say that? So if you look at time, we have to understand that the universe was created about 14.7 billion years back. That is 1,000 million years back. The solar system is 4.56 billion years back, right? That is 4,560 million years back. Our species, if you look at life on Earth, it is 4.35 billion years back when the first cell came, was a single cell organism. We, as a species, all of us, Homo sapiens, is about 200,000 years old. But what is interesting is that each one of us, every living thing on Earth, contains the DNA of the first living thing which was there 4.35 billion years back. Right? So if you see life on Earth, it springs from the same source. It's gone, the tree of life has expanded so significantly, right? So that you have maybe, millions of species of life on Earth. But if you were to look at the difference between different species, they're very, very, very close. Each of these species are extremely close. Swapnil, you can ask your question now, but after this, maybe we will. Swapnil, go ahead, please. Yeah. Yes, please. You raise your hand, Swapnil. Okay. I think it is Dr. Zan. So so I was talking about the fact that 200,000 years back, our species came. And if you look at the difference between us and Neanderthals and gorillas, it's very, very marginal difference. Okay, 99.5% of the DNA of a gorilla or an ape. Swapnil is telling you I'm not audible. So I think Dr. Jankana, if Srijit can go up and help him, because I think he's not connected on audio. That is the problem. So he needs to connect in his laptop or phone. The audio connection is enabled. So if somebody can go up. So in the meantime, what we are basically telling is that this species, which has been there for 200,000 years back, which came into being 200,000 years back, the accumulated wisdom of life on Earth before that, and about 2,500 years back, 2,700 to be precise, Sushruta Samhita, which is 600 BC, a very codified book of knowledge comes, where you see first surgeon, the first surgeon of the world is Sushruta, an Ayurveda surgeon, who then 600 BC used to do cataract surgeries and rhinoplasties and stuff like that. Very advanced surgeries were being done. in those days, right? So if you really go back, what you will understand, Namaste ji, aapko Medanta mein namaste, huh? Na, namaste, right? So what you will find is that the this thing which is codified, anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, how disease pathology happens, all of this has been laid down in a highly structured form. It is very, very different from what we think, that somebody does Nadi Pariksha and then everything is answered. No, it is extremely scientifically organized. Okay, and we'll understand why it is organized, but the language, the concepts is what we need to introduce you to, right? So Ayurveda is as old as life on earth. It is that which has become proven over millennia, right? We have to understand one thing, why the human species is alive today is only because we have learned to adapt to the environment that we have grown up in. So over thousands and millions of years, we've grown to adapt to the environment. What is happening in the last 20 years, 30 years, etc., the environment has changed quite a lot. Our diet and lifestyle has changed quite a lot. When both these things change together and they are not in harmony with each other, right? My behavior is not appropriate for the environment in which I live. Then what it does is, or the work environment, the home environment, the commuting environment, when there is a imbalance between or there is not a correlation or a harmony between these, then an imbalance is created in me. Because anyway, environment is getting imbalanced. Day by day, there are imbalances happening, right? Then somebody, while traveling to work, somebody shouts at me. Then I come to office, somebody shouts at me, or somebody praises me. There are things which I'm getting physical, mental stimuli coming from the environment. As it comes in, there are changes in me happening, right? These changes, if they become continuously and sustained, they become a disease, okay? Or diseases. Right? The lack of ease or the lack of balance is dis-ease, right? Is what we need to understand. So we go back. So this has been there for a long time. What Ayurveda did, it looked at the powers of observation of our ancestors over these thousands of years in this part of the world. No other civilization other than India had this type of mind which allowed them to observe what was happening. Maybe it was a very peaceful existence. They could apply their minds and they could figure out the nature of health. In those days, there was no allopathy, there was no homeopathy or any pati to compete with. They looked at Ayurveda as the means, the knowledge of how to maximize my life potential or your life potential, right? So the Veda or the knowledge to maximize my ayus or my longevity, my length of life, but it's not just the length of life, but the quality, the achievement or the fulfillment of the full life potential, right? So we have to understand when each one of us is conceived, right, as in our mother's womb, right? At that time, when the conception is happening, not when you're born, at that conception, my entire Janam Patri, you say not astrology Janam Patri, but my Patri for life is, Jivan Patri is defined there, that moment. Will I be tall? Will I be short? Will I be fat? Will I like meetha, thika? Will I be angry generally? What will be my physical, mental characteristics? All that is very well defined at that point, right? So I come into life as a done deal. Okay, but does not mean that that is my total potential. I'll show you a couple of screens, it will become easier. So what Ayurveda says, I get a Prakriti with which I come. Prakriti is defined at the time of conception. Okay, so this Prakriti, I come into the world. Now I'm living in a world where it is interacting with me. This Prakriti, due to interaction, can become Vikriti. Vikriti is mischief. You know, जो Prakriti, जो सही दिशा में जा रहा है, वो उल्टा दिशा में जाता है या गलत दिशा में जाता है. तो Prakriti becomes Vikriti. Vikriti, as it becomes more, is what is Roga, or you become a Rogi, right? If I'm aware of what are the Vikritis, if I can prevent it from becoming too much of a Vikriti, my body will adjust and come back and become healthy. Right? This is the broad picture. So we talked about Prakriti defined. There are broadly When you say Prakriti, it comes from a very basic concept called Pancha Mahabhuta. That is, I will be quite fast on this to get to the crux of the major issues. So you take the Pancha Mahabhuta, you have Vayu, Akasha, Agni, Jala, Prithvi, right? So water, earth, then ether, fire, and I would have told that, and earth, water and earth. So these five were taken together. Our ancestors, as they looked at it, they found that these work in a certain unified way. What is this unified way? These five became broadly two elements, water and earth became, they said, let's give it a name. The property of water and earth, I will call it as kapha. Okay. And air and ether, I will call it as vata. And fire and water, I will call it as pitta. Okay. So these five became 2, 2, 2 and became 3. It became Tridosha. Okay. So a lot of people say, Acha, Ayurveda is vata, pitta, kabha. You know, they'll joke, they'll think wahi hai. Ayurveda is a lot more than that. Okay, let's understand how do I relate to. So the Prakritis, if you take Tridosha, there are 7 types of combinations you can look at. Somebody who's predominantly Vata, predominantly Pitta, predominantly Kabha, or Vata, Pitta, Pitta, Kabha, Vata, Kabha. Like 2, 2, 2 you take. And finally, somebody who's got all 3 in balance. Now, I don't have a choice in the matter, right? I can't say before I am born, please give me Kabha Vata or Vata Pitta. I am given. When I come out with something. Right? Now, जो मुझे दिया है, with that, ये जैसे पत्ता खेलते हैं, 3 पत्ती है, उसमें से मुझे 1 या 2 या 3 पत्ती मिलता है. So once I get these cards, then I need to play with the best cards with that, right? The best game with the cards I'm dealt with. Right? This does not mean that there are some advantages at different stages of life. But it does not mean that one is better than other or something. There are some advantages, but without going into that, the art of living or the art of Ayurveda lies in maximizing, knowing what is my Prakriti, right? My Prakriti, I know, and then based on my Prakriti, I lead a life which ensures that there is no deviation or minimum deviation. Right? The Vikriti does not become too much. That is my goal, right? So we go back to this Vata, Pitta, Kabha. How do I relate? How do I know what is my Prakriti, right? That's the first step. So I told you there are broadly 7 types of Prakriti, but if we take Vata, Pitta, Kabha, everybody will have combinations of this Vata, Pitta, Kabha, right? Different proportions, right? So let's look at what is Vata, Pitta, Kabha. Kabha is, simply speaking, the structure in the body. Whatever body you feel, anything, hands, nails, hair, teeth, everything is Kabha. Internal organs, right? Everything is Kabha. Structure. Vata is function in the body, right? So when I'm talking, my tongue is moving, my eyelids are moving, my finger is moving, everything, I have loose motion, Vata, there is a problem. I'm breathing, so my Vata is working in this part. So like this, Vata is functioning of the body. So there is structure, there is function. Okay. Now, what does a human being do from the time he or she is born till he or she dies? Right? These are, I don't have time, so I'll quickly go through these points. What we do is we eat, we break it down, the food, we store that which is useful food for us. Okay. And that which is not useful, we excrete it. Whenever we have to do work, physical work, mental work, whenever we have to do the work, I have to take that stored food and convert it to energy. Right? This is the substance, whether I'm a carpenter, I'm a dhobi, I'm a professor, I'm a whatever, IT executive, all of us do only this. The nature of work is changing, but this is the whole cycle of life. And then we sleep, we eat this and we sleep. And then again, the whole cycle is going on. From birth till death, this is what is going on. In this cycle, which simple cycle, if there is any block anywhere, my health is going progressively off track, right? My eating, I'm not able to break it down properly. I'm not able to store it properly and then excrete properly. When I need to convert that. If I'm not able to do this, I have a problem, right? The beginning of disease. So What Pitta does is this part, which is breaking down the food. With Vata's help, it will store it. So I told you Vata, Pitta, Kapha is structure, function, and transformation. It transforms mass into energy, energy into mass. Right? Food it converts into mass and mass into energy and so on. That's the job of Pitta. Am I clear? So the approach we are taking then, this Vata, Pitta, Kapha, I told you structure, function, transformation. The other way to look at it, somebody who has more Kapha has more structure, which means jo mota aadmi hai, right? For the elder generation, if you take Shivaji Ganeshan or you take Prithviraj Kapoor, depending on which part of India you are coming from, you will find ki they are high Kapha, right? Typical Kapha person. Does not mean ki sirf motapan nahi hai. It is not just being fat. It means big structure, body structure, right? So you can't compare a Tamilian with a Punjabi. You can't compare a Punjabi with a European, right? Scandinavian. Within your race, within your community, are you bigger or smaller is what you see, right? Vata is somebody who is like the wind. So Kapha, I told you, big in structure. Vata is directly opposite. Will be bony structure, thin, right? Inherently bony structure and thin, fast movements, will move very fast, will move hands, legs, eyes, everything is fast. Lot of changes is a Vata person. Okay. Kapha person, on the other hand, is slow movement. I told you Prithviraj Kapoor, Hathi jaisa, slowly will walk. That is a Prithviraj. So you take two extremes. Pitta is in between the two. Okay. I told you at the structure level. Take at a mental level, emotional level, a Vata person will quickly get angry, quickly get happy, quickly cry, quickly start laughing. Kapha person will find it very difficult to cry, but once he starts crying, will keep on crying. Okay. So his emotions so Kapha is inertia, very high inertia. He does not change easily. Vata, low inertia, very easily he can change, right? So somebody will say, I'm going to, let me go on a holiday, right? So the Kapha person will plan 1 year in advance, plan everything, do everything. Vata person will keep it to the last minute and then say, let me go now, and the next minute can change the plan. So, right? So Vata person is quick changing, Kapha doesn't change easily, right? Fixed. Am I clear? Is it clear? Right. So the emotional up, down is Vata. Kapha, slow movement. So everything is slow change in Kapha. Pitta is balanced in between, right? So broad picture you got. There is so we call the Manasika doshas. I told you the physical aspects and the emotional aspects. There are certain spiritual / mental aspects which will come to towards the end of the doshas, right? So what you have to understand quickly, maybe I'll show some slides to save time. Since I have the advantage of slides, I will quickly, need to show you can you see these slides? I hope you can, yeah? So what I think you can see here is that health is never just telling ki, my cholesterol is okay, my sugar is okay. It's not the way. You have to look at health as many things coming together, right? So my genes is only my potential for health. Okay? Then I have my diet and lifestyle. This diet and lifestyle will interact will work in a particular geography. So the same behavior when I do it in Bangalore and I do it in Chennai and I do it in Delhi, right? The same behavior has totally different impact on my health. Same behavior I'm doing. It's not that, so Ayurveda looked at it and it's based on my past medical history, my current health status in terms of how is my metabolism, how is my inflammation status. All of this comes together, right? And when does this behavior happen? So imagine I eat chole bhature, right? I'm eating chole bhature in Delhi in the month of May. I'm eating chole bhature in Bangalore in the month of May. I'm eating chole bhature, I'm 60 years old. I'm chole bhature at 80 years old. Chole bhature at 40 years old. A very different impact on me, right? So the food, it is never, there is anything perfectly good or bad. We have to understand. Everybody wants simple answer. Arey bhai, kyun complicate kar rahe ho? Simple answer do. Can I eat chole bhature? You can say, sorry, I can't give you one answer. Chole bhature is good, not good for some people. It's good for him at this place at this time. That's all you can say. Nothing is perfectly good or bad. So Ayurveda allows you to look at this total picture, which is why you will understand, right? This is just a study to tell you that this is a very latest study, but quickly to tell you that what modern science, this is 2023 study from Harvard, telling that you can reverse aging, right? And this is not based on genes, it's based on what is called the epigenes, which is your lifestyle impact. So the more than my genes, the most important thing, a lot of people say, what can I do? I'm diabetic, right? I have got pressure because my parents had all this, or my great-grandparents had this. So I blame my genes. The genes is only 10%. Everything else is me, what life choices I make. So it should be very clear. So what even the study shows that epigenetics, which is basically the impact of my environment. It's not only my diet and lifestyle, but also the impact of the polluted air I breathe, the polluted food I eat, all this totality of the mental, physical environment is what has an impact on health, right? So therefore, if you look at this thing is a very important thing to understand, that your state of good health is this. All the time we are getting physical, mental forces acting on us, right? Somebody is scolding us, somebody is putting the AC on, somebody is switching off the fan. All these things are happening. As it happens, I should not lose my balance. I should be able to maintain that is in short form, I'm not going to go in too much into detail. The thing is that the ability to restore balance is what is good health. Okay, just take it that way. Rather than telling I'm healthy because I have good cholesterol under control, this, that, keep it away and say, when conditions around me change, I don't get impacted, right? I am able to manage the changes very well. So Ayurveda therefore defines, before we get into Vata, Pitta, Kapha deeper, it defines this in a very, very simple way. All of you can follow this for you and your family, right? What does it say? It says that if my appetite and my digestion, right? I have hunger, proper hunger. How do I know how I have good hunger? I'll tell you how to know that, right? How do I know I have good metabolism? I can tell you how to do that. I need to have good sleep. How do I know I have good sleep? You should know that, right? It seems very simple, but it's not straight. I should have good bowel movement. I should have proper urination or micturition. My sensory organ should be clear, alert. And my state of mind is cheerful, calm, and self-aware. I have energy levels throughout the day, right? So there is a sloka called Samadosha, Samagnischa, Samadhatu Malakriya, Prasanna Atma Indriya Manaha. Such a person is healthy. This has been defined in 600 BC. What WHO came and told in 1976, they still don't have this. But today, people are waking up to the fact, we call this the virtuous cycle of good health. A lot of times, we are so used to telling that my blood parameters are under control. I'm exercising. But if I exercise, but if I don't have this, there's no point in talking about it. Okay, simple rule for you and your family. Check how many of these parameters are going once you understand, right? And Ayurveda treats it in this manner, which is diet, lifestyle, addressing the state of mind, medicine, therapy, one or more. If I get a disease at an early stage, right, you can treat it only with diet, lifestyle correction, and very often state of mind. If it's a little bit more complicated, then you have to look at the medicines as well. And if something is a little deeper, and you'll understand as you go along what is deeper, right, in terms of the tissues it is impacting, then you'll come to the therapy aspect as well. Okay. So the building blocks, I will come to this. As I told here, the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, since we have the benefit of slides, I'll quickly show you how these things are coming together. And I did talk about the one part which I didn't mention is that the Kapha person will be typically oily skin. The Vata person will be dry skin, right? So you can make out naturally dry, naturally oily is Kapha vata. Pitta will be balanced complexion, right? It will not be too oily, not too dry. It will be balanced in different weathers. It does not become dry easily. Okay. So the cycle of life we need to understand, which I had shown earlier, time of day. Now, why this is important, you will understand as I come forward, right? So this things which I'm showing here, I'll quickly walk you through. So you take a schedule, which is 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., the night, right? What you'll understand is that for everybody, not separately, for everybody, this Kabha, Pitta, Vata will vary across these time frames. Okay? So if you take Pitta, as you see here, right? Pitta is peaking roughly between 10 and 2. This is the time when my metabolism is at its peak. Okay, this is the time. Haji, Medanta mein Janab. Okay, yeah. So, Dr. Anupam, are you there? If you need any clarifications, yeah. So, if you take this, this is the time to actually eat properly. What tends to happen in many Indian homes, the heaviest meal is dinner, which is happening in this time, right? And this is the time when my metabolism is at the lowest, right? So what we to understand, if we understand these kalas, there are many, many aspects of this. Why do we say wake up in Brahma Muhurtam, which is basically from 2 to 6 or 2:30, 3 o'clock, wake up at that time? It is because my Vata, my body functions work very smoothly at this time. Okay, so in the process, once again, in the process, this is the time if I wake up, my ablutions, my stomach will clear. If I clear my sensory organs, then I can do physical work, mental work, spiritual work in the best possible way in this time. Then this is the Kabha time, right? Kabha time is the time which I've woken up after a hard day's thing, but typically breakfast is an item. You'll see many communities which don't have breakfast. They'll take a light snack and then they'll take a proper meal at around this time. And then they'll take a tiffin or something at this time. And you'll see many communities which will finish their dinner before sunset. They will not eat here, right? The Jain community is very clear on this. They follow this thing completely. Right? Even you see certain other communities, we know Tamil Brahmins, they follow this completely. Right? It's part of the lifestyle. Right? I'm sure there are other communities also. I don't know all of them, but I'm just telling that these are combinations. So we need to understand this time, this is a Vata time. If my Vata is very high, right? My mental activity, physical activity is very high. As I get into this time to sleep, if this is high, I will not be able to sleep. So there are many things here, but I'll just quickly tell. For example, there are people who drink a glass of milk after dinner. When you drink milk, this kabha will go up. As this kabha goes up, my tendency to sleep will go up. There are many traditions where you'll take banana and milk. If you look at most of Indian traditions, they're all built around the way the doshas work, around time of day, time of digestion, time of season, and time of life. Everything is linked to that. We don't see it, we don't understand it. What we think, we read something in a foreign magazine or some newspaper in Times of India, suddenly we think that is the modern wisdom. This is something we can't change overnight. Okay, so I'll ask a question quickly. Imagine I'm working in the night shift, right? I'm working in the night shift. I wake up in the morning, I come back, or I finish my work and come back home. Should I have my breakfast and then go to sleep, or sleep and then have breakfast? I wish everybody we could see on the video, but if somebody would like to answer through audio, please go ahead. Should I eat and sleep or sleep and eat? Somebody speaking. I can't, you're muted. All of you are muted. Yeah.
Can you please repeat your question?
I was telling, should you
Dr. Rajiv, please repeat your question.
Should you eat and sleep or sleep and eat?
Eat and sleep.
If you
Eat
are
and
doing work in night,
Yeah, so
Yes.
working night shift, do you
No.
eat and sleep or sleep and eat? Who said eat and sleep? Okay, right. Just to share.
I think we should sleep and then we should come to this pitta region and then eat.
Correct. So actually, you should never sleep on a full stomach. Never, right? Even after lunch, you should not sleep on a stomach, full stomach, right? Some people can sleep for a short while, 5 minutes in sitting position, but by and large, nobody should sleep on a full stomach. Okay, that is why you have an early dinner, leave at least 2 hour gap between dinner and going to sleep, and then sleep around, if you eat by 6:30, by about 9 o'clock, 9:30, if you go to sleep, that's good. Even 10 o'clock, right? So you can go up to 7 a.m., 7 p.m., and then go. Yeah.
I have a question.
and whenever we are taking the milk and good, etc., in night, after taking milk and milk, banana or milk or good, at how much difference would be in sleep and 1 hour, 2 hour, or you can sleep at the same time?
That particular point of milk and this thing should be also dependent on the Agni or the digestive power. So somebody with digestive power, so somebody who does not have digestive power, you'll have to look at some other way to get the sleep. But youngsters, that is why you see in marriage ceremonies, very often after the marriage, the couple for some time are always given the milk and banana and all that. In many communities, you'll find, right?
Yes.
But whether everybody at every age can have will depend on the state of their Agni, the digestive capability, right? Otherwise,
Okay,
that
thank you.
is heavy, like buffalo milk is very heavy to digest. Right?
Yes.
So I will build up cholesterol quickly if I don't do it carefully, right? So if there's no perfect answer. We have to make it personalized. But in general, things which increase kapha and reduce vata will help you to go to sleep comfortably.
To sleep.
Right?
Yes.
So we'll come back to the sleep part in greater detail later. Yes, Ms. Usha.
Yes.
And Ms.
Thank
Maggie.
you, doctor. You have clear every point. I think the modern science is not touching even what is the depth of the Ayurveda. They are just modern chemistry they are doing.
They're only looking at that. Yes, sir.
I have one question.
Yes.
If we look at this, then the time when we are thinking we are having an early dinner when we have it at 7 or 7:30.
Yeah.
But we are in the kapha region. We are not in the the actual region where we should be able to digest the best.
So simply speaking, right? Your dinner should be your lightest meal.
It's true.
Okay. So when you look at intermittent fasting, right, what are you doing? You're reducing the load on your system, but eat a little bit. The key thing is to have a light meal. How do I know it's a light meal? I'll tell you. Right, I'll come to that piece. So just mark that point. How do I decide that? We'll come to that. Yes, Ms. Usha.
Yes, sir. See, I have always, my doubt is, see, when we talk about sleep, 8 hours sleep or whatever, generally they say 7 to 8 hours sleep. So is it like at the same stretch at the 8 hours sleep, in a day, maybe sometimes night, okay, I may go to bed by 10:30, morning I wake up at 5. But again, that rest, whatever, 1 hour, 2.5 hours.
We'll take a deviation at this point, right? And we'll talk about sleep and appetite. We'll take a minute to take that detour. Okay. So what is the purpose of sleep? Why do we sleep?
To get back our energy, to digest our food.
Okay. Anybody has any other views? Why do we
repair the tissues?
To repair the tissues. Somebody said, could you put on your video, please? If you wish, you can put on the video. Yes.
Not only repair, but to get the energy again with full energy. You should to charge we can say that to charge our body.
Charge our body. Okay, right. Now with electric vehicles being there, charging is the right example, right? Plug in the night, by morning you're fully charged, right? So you told recharge the body. Anybody else would like to comment quickly? So in simple terms, the body does not need rest. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes.
Okay.
Mental rest.
It is the mind which needs to get time to process. Which is why this entire story is coming here, right? The Vata Kaba business. Okay. If you know, look at your heart. From the moment the baby's heart in the mother's stomach starts beating, till that baby dies at whatever age, that heart is always beating. It's only that for a microsecond between the push and this thing, right? There is a micro nanosecond where it doesn't work. Otherwise, throughout, that's the only rest the heartbeat gets in one cycle. Otherwise, the heart is beating throughout life. Okay. The heart doesn't get rest, your lungs don't get rest, everything, nothing gets rest. Only if you do heavy exercise and there are some chemical deposits which are built up, right? A marathon runner, right? He runs, he'll build up some chemicals in some place, right? When that happens, excessive exercise will need physical rest to allow the body to process the chemicals. But as such, the body does not need, it is very little, right? The core thing is for the mind to organize all the thoughts in the head. So I'm coming, Ms. Usha, to the answer. Okay. All the thoughts in the head, when I go to sleep, right? So I'll tell this example so it becomes clear. Imagine a cupboard, right? Where a lot of clothes are put. Okay. Washed clothes, unwashed clothes. I come back, I've sweat, I take that and put into the cupboard. So everything is put together in a jumble. Now I go to take a shirt, open the cupboard. What do I get? I get a bad smell of sweat, everything together, right? And all these things are bundled together, right? Now I say, okay, today is the last day. I stop it. I take out all the clothes, put it into washing machine, open the windows, open the cupboard, clean it, put newspaper, keep it ready, right? Washing machine, clothes are ready. Put it out on a clothesline, allow it to dry, right? Take the shirts, put it in one order, banyan, everything, put it in one order, pants like this, put it in a particular order. Now imagine, I come and open the cupboard, right? Everything in its proper place. Wow, I can smell, everything is great. Every night, what we do is to take the dirty thoughts, not dirty means doesn't mean bad thoughts, the jumble of thoughts, which is there in my head. Through the day, I accumulate these thoughts, and jumble of thoughts. By morning, I take these thoughts and say, okay, cupboard mein left hand side, I put this, middle mein I put this, right mein I put this, middle drawer, upper drawer, I organize everything. When I wake up in the morning and if I feel, wow, I had a very nice sleep, that is when I manage to put all my thoughts into different compartments. When I don't put all my thoughts into all proper compartments, I wake up, I'm not fully refreshed. Susti, thoda bahut. So this thing of every night, this is what we do. So Ms. Usha, what would be the answer to your question? How many hours should I sleep?
And no, that's what, how many hours, whether it is continuous sleep?
Yeah. So that answer is that typically, so there you would have heard of some people who sleep 2 hours a night and are very fresh.
They may be fresh.
How come? And some people sleep all the time, not fresh.
Exactly.
Right? So what is happening?
Yeah. So our thoughts are still, not progressed in a proper manner, probably.
Yeah, very, very correctly told. In fact, once I was doing this talk in Ramurthy Nagar, Ms. Usha, and there was a 3rd standard student sitting with her parents who were sitting there, and she answered this question. I said, how come 2 people, somebody sleeps only for 2 hours and is fresh? She immediately answered, that is because that person has very little garbage in the head. I use the word garbage,
Right.
Very little thoughts. Yes. The thoughts are all. So what is the answer to good sleep, if you want to understand, is don't bring in excess thoughts into the head.
Okay.
Right? So what do I do? When I don't have thoughts, what do? I go and put on the TV channel. Right? And then get a lot of sensory stimuli. I see a lot of people talking nonsense. I watch a movie where there's a lot of violence. So all these sensory stimuli are coming into my head, which by next morning, again, I have to process it. So people who are having sleep problems, what should they do? They should ration. They should take it. So there is this concept of ahara, right? We told about diet, lifestyle, medicine, therapy, etc. We told, no, what is ahara? Ahara is not only through the mouth. Ahara is through, not only that, ahara is through all the sensory organs.
Okay.
Through the mouth, the eyes, the ears, through hands, through smell.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if I keep getting all the time sensory stimuli, आज तो ये खाना है, खाना में तंदूरी ये है, वो है. I'm sitting and freaking out. All I'm doing is my brain is being loaded with sensory stimuli. What does it mean? Always remember, there's no that this is the right level, more or less. How do I know something is more or less? When I know that my mind is not calm in the morning when I wake up, that means I'm loading my brain more than I can process. So what should I do? I should become aware and say, boss, nobody is going to help me with this problem. I should myself ration what I see and watch and what I take, what I read, what I eat. Everything I start becoming aware. So the power of Ayurveda, again, I'm digressing, is not to tell that a doctor will tell you this, that. Can you start observing yourself? That when you wake up fresh in the morning, you say, what did I do yesterday? Which made my sleep better today? When you start observing that, that's what our ancestors did. That is why Ayurveda is there today. Right? So once we start observing how our body responds to various things, we are becoming more and more powerful. So let's just go quickly. Sleep is one thing. We also have to understand, how do I know my metabolism or my pitta or my agni is proper? This is one of the most important things to understand. So I'll come back to the agni part. So you'll see that this vata pitta kava changes with time of day, time of season. Okay, it changes with season, which is why you find many of the foods we eat in winter, what we'll eat in, for example, in Delhi area, they'll take gajar ka halwa, they'll take, a lot of makhan. So it's heavy stuff is eaten in winter when my agni is at the peak. Okay, whereas in the rainy season, my agni goes down, so I'll be very moderate in my diet. And this you'll find across the country. Every practice that you do, you say, "Acha, Holi ke time pe I do this." Holi ke pehle what do I? Holi ka dahan. Every social custom that you'll find is linked to the change of the seasons, but we don't know, we don't realize it. Okay, all of this is there, and then you have to understand Kapha, Pitta, Vata changes with time of life. Okay, so the first 25 years is Kapha, then Pitta. Then I go to Vata stage. Whether I like it or not, all of this happens with us. So our story is what? If I'm in a particular stage here, before my life cycle curve starts going down, right? Can I push this a little further ahead is what I should see for good health. So the beauty of Ayurveda is that at any time, once I'm aware of this, between you and your doctor, you should be able to understand what is the right way to ensure that my curve does not go down quickly. Can I push it further? Because my life potential is not only genes. It is what I do with my food, my lifestyle, my mind, right? So that my life potential is maximized. With minimum medicines, how do I go to that, right? So this is there. So what you have to understand is, we'll come back to taste. So I was telling about Agni, right? So when I look at Agni, we have to understand Agni is at a peak here. Now, one very important thing for you and your family members is to understand, how do I judge Agni? So there are 4 types of Agni. Okay, I'll stop the share and come back here later. There are 4 types of Agni. The first Agni is called Manda Agni, right? Manda is slow Agni. The next is Tikshna Agni, high Agni, right? The third is called Vishamagni, or a confused Agni, or a mixed up Agni, confused Agni. And the fourth is called Samagni. This is very important for all of you to understand, right? So Agni, when I have, let's say, thyroid problem, I have diabetes, right? I have PCOD, all of these are Agni issues. It is not the fact that I have ovary issue or a pancreas issue or a thyroid gland issue. It is all to do with Agni from an Ayurveda perspective. So what we need to understand is the Manda Agni is, imagine that I have a candle flame. On the candle flame, I go and put a big katori of oil. What will happen to the flame?
will
Huh?
off.
It'll go off, right?
It will, yes.
Go off, right?
Yes.
Now imagine I have a big Agni, right? Like imagine the rail engine, Purana steam engine, where the big belly is there, right? Lot of fire is there. What do you have to do? You have to put a lot of coal into it, and it burns even further, right? You see when you do a homa or something, when the fire is there, you put into it, it will become even bigger. Correct? Manda Agni is an issue where people over a period of time, my Agni is little, I go and put very heavy food on top. What happens? Bechara Agni chupchap baith jata hai. That's called Manda Agni. That's when diabetes begins. I'm eating food. So what is good food? Trick question. What is good food?
Digestible food.
Perfect answer, Ms. Usha. You get 100 out of 100. It's the nobody can give a perfect answer than that, right? What is digestible for me, right? But of course, I can tell that if I take potato wafers, it is digestible. It may not be good, but that is as close as a perfect answer. Considering digestion is not just what I can break down in my stomach. Digestion is a whole process of breaking it down, storing energy, excreting out what is left. That whole process should also be proper. Okay. So when I take, let's say, an oily thing, very often, very highly oily, right? The excretion may not be proper. It may still be retained in my body. After a period of time, that becomes toxins, right? So the correct answer is what I can easily digest, but digest is not only what is done in the stomach, it is the totality of the digestion side, right? So when I look at digestible food, the pitta part, Manda Agni does not digest food properly. There is always residue which is there. That becomes what we call ama or toxins, which depending on where it goes can become either asthma, it can become rheumatoid arthritis, it can become PCOD, it can become diabetes, thyroid. The core process is the same, Manda Agni. So a lot of diseases around Manda Agni, depending upon my nature, it may manifest as one of these diseases. Am I clear? So Manda Agni is very common today. And why does it become Manda Agni? Because most Indian families, what is the heaviest meal of the day? Dinner. Night. When my Agni is very little, small flame on which I put heavy food, right? And then I take lassi, and that's why I told about milk. It should be done only when my Agni is proper, right? So because of this, many families today, Indians have such chronic diseases because of this one habit. If they just change and keep a 2-hour gap between dinner and have dinner as early as possible, you'll find many diseases by that one lifestyle change itself is correct. We often go to the extent of telling 2 habits you change, half of asthma will be correct in children. Keep dinner light, avoid dahi. Not avoid milk products, avoid dahi, and don't take, of course, buffalo milk and all that. Take the lighter milk. Cow's milk is easier to digest. So just this one change can correct asthma in most people, right? Instead of taking antihistamine and nebulizers and all that, this is there. So Agni, that question, Manda Agni. What is Tikshna Agni? Too much Agni. When I have Manda Agni, after I finish eating, how do I feel? I will feel heavy, sluggish. I want to sit down, right? Please understand one thing, and this is very important for you to understand. There is no perfect Agni, right? The Agni is in relation to the food I'm eating. So if my Agni is small, I eat little food, which is easy to digest. So I'll take a kanji or a khichdi, which is easy to digest and light, right? Tabhi if I go and take palak paneer or with a lot of oil in it and, big tandoori paratha with, that, this poor Agni, it can't survive, right? So I should know my Agni, I'm not feeling hungry. So keep it low. Eat when you're hungry is one core principle.
So does it mean that when you are hungry, that's the time the Agni is not Manda?
Yeah, at that time, the Agni is not Manda. So what happens is even a person with Manda Agni will have times in the day when the Agni is coming up.
Okay.
Right? So a lot of people eat telling ki it's 1 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock, let me eat now. That's not the way. I should eat when I'm hungry. Children, they're fed cow, it's 1 o'clock, eat. No? If as soon as the child is able to tell I am hungry, not hungry, you should wait for the child to be hungry. not forcefully, right? It's a natural body process. I need to eat, right? So that balance. So Manda Agni is once I finish eating, the food is in relation to the Agni is in relation to the food. If the food I'm eating is too heavy for me to digest, gradually my Agni will become Manda, right? Now the food which I'm eating increases the Agni, right? Because I take a lot of khatta and tikha food, right? If I take khatta and tikha food, immediately my Agni will bounce up. Okay. Now, if already my Agni is very high and my Agni goes up further, what happens? I'll have burning, I'll have gas, not gas, burning, and then I will have, GRD kind of symptoms, that the burping can happen. And then I can even have GRD where the food from the stomach will go back up to the mouth, right? That is Tikshna Agni. Manda Agni will also lead to bloating, gas. Okay. So this is there. So yes, Ms. Susha, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah. No,
Please
if our Agni is in Manda, am I audible,
Yes.
Doctor? Yeah. If our Agni is in Manda state, do we feel hungry or no? I mean,
See,
will it? I
there
mean,
will
is
be
there any?
So Manda Agni is so Manda Agni is. Let me clarify. So these are two good questions what Ms. Sharmila and Ms. Usha just asked. See, the point is Manda Agni is my overall state. Okay, it's my overall state, but that person will still get hunger from time to time. It's not that that person never feels hungry, but the level of hunger will not be too high, right? Is one part. Also, I may eat because of taste, not because I'm hungry. You'll see many people who are overweight will still eat heavily, not because they're hungry, but that's because the brain is telling them to eat. I hope you understand. It is the tongue is telling, I want to eat this, I want to eat that, right? It is not that my stomach is hungry. So that's the second part. But you need to understand that Manda Agni is at different points of time during the day, we feel hungry. At that time, I should eat that food which is appropriate for that hunger. Okay, not overeat. So one small point I would say, quickly to understand, these are such important things for the whole family. Nobody, we don't get this picture, which is typically when we eat, right? There are people who eat fast and people who eat steady and people who eat very slow. So you'll see that the healthy eating is, as they say, chew every mouthful 32 times for every teeth and all that. This old grandma's wisdom is there. It's very, very wise wisdom, because what you do is every time you chew, you are aware of the food you eat, right? Saliva mixes properly. It's broken down in the mouth. The bacteria interacts from the mouth itself, the microbes. Then from the mouth, by the time it goes to the stomach, it's already half the processing is done, right? As opposed to, I take the whole thing, just plonk it down, right? It goes to the stomach without any mastication. So the thing to understand is the Manda Agni, the person who's eating slowly, when I eat slowly, by the time the body tells me that I am full, there is already time has gone by. So what happens when I eat fast, by the time the body tells me कि पेट भर गया है, your stomach is full, I have already overeaten. Right? Because there is a lag between the body telling you that. So if you eat slowly, it will tell you, okay, आपका पेट भर रहा है, अभी थोड़ा धीरे हो जाओ. So you can slowly slow down. Yeah. So it's always good to, that is why we normally recommend when you're eating, if you watch TV, right, or you're reading, then you're not focused on the food. You're just eating as you go along. You don't realize how much food you're eating. Right. So slowing down eating of food is good way to eat for every family. That's why you sit at the dining table, or even if you're watching TV, eat with awareness, every mouthful.
One question.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah. When you're saying Manda Agni, is it a characteristic of a person? Like,
yeah. It is a stage of a person. It is a state of a person. I am in Manda Agni. It does not mean that for lifelong I am sitting in Manda Agni. No.
Oh, okay.
I can correct it. If I become aware, I can correct it. That is why what we're telling here, can you become aware how to fix this, how to get around it?
Oh.
Yes, Susha. Yeah. Please go ahead, Ms. Usha.
Can we increase our Mandagni to higher Agni by taking?
Yes, absolutely. That is what Ayurveda allows you to do, right? So if you drink hot water, bolo.
Can we increase our Mandagni to higher Agni by taking a tikha and the khatta food?
It will increase, yeah. It will do. That's what you'll do. So you'll avoid the sweet food, right? And heavy food. You'll take not what you say, Guru, Snigdha. You'll not take oily, heavy food. So I'll come and ask you some points around it. But you have to understand that the moment I'm aware of this, I realize when I eat this food, I feel dull. So Mandagni people after eating will want to sit down, will feel sleepy, will feel, stomach is bloated. That is there, right? Tikshna Agni, the stomach is burning. If I can't wait to eat, I have to. If I don't feed my stomach is burning and paining. That's the other extreme. Vishama Agni, Ms. Usha, I'll just come back to the question. Vishama Agni is a confused Agni, which means what? When it should be high, it is low. When it is low, it should be high. So what do I do when I see there are people, 1 o'clock is my lunchtime? Okay. At 12:30, I will go and say, very nice, let me take a nice coffee. Right? And my appetite has gone out. A young person may be able to digest the coffee and still be hungry by 1:30. But older people, the Agni is anyway as you grow older. That's why I told you, 25 to 50, 25 to 60 is broadly the phase in which my metabolism is peaking. Right? After that, all of the elder people, the Agni is anyway dropping. At that time, I need to be conscious and not eat the food before, which will dilute, right? So, for example, I go for an evening dinner, right? And before the dinner, what do? I drink some cold drink, fresh lime soda, or some fruit juice. The moment I do this, that dilution that will happen will ensure that my Agni, little bit which is there, is getting diluted. So people with low Agni, like even elders, there are some people tell that get up in the morning and drink 2 liters of water or 1 liter of water, right? So what does it do? That little Agni which is there is also washed away, right? So how to drink water, when to drink water is another story. That's a bigger thing. It's not that blindly sit and keep drinking water. People with low Agni will end up having constipation if you drink too much water. Motility issues will come. Right? People are thinking drink too much water and drinking more water will reduce constipation. It's the opposite. You should drink water which is appropriate for you in a particular place, time. So you start becoming aware of what you're doing, not blindly keep doing things. Okay, Ms. Usha, your question, please.
There are so many questions coming in my mind. I don't know whether I'm deviating, doctor. I would like to know what this is. Ayurveda is little against towards fruits. I mean, taking fruits often. Not
against anything. There is no perfect food or perfectly good or bad. Everything is good for different people at different places at different times. Your doctor will tell you what is appropriate for you. Even fruits is a big category. One question to you, what is the difference between fruits and vegetables? As a teacher, I think Ms. Sharmila will like to answer this.
After coming here, I'm so confused with the fruits and vegetables that I am in no position to answer this.
Answer that. Okay. हाँ जी, आप बताइए.
Fruit will increase your kapha. Fruit will increase your kapha as well as the vegetable will increase your vata.
Yeah. Very good answer. It's a very good answer, but let's just try to understand that a little better. So the difference between a fruit and vegetable is one core thing is that fruits already have sugar. When you take, it's got sugar in it. Okay, that's one core thing. Other thing, fruits are vegetables which you can eat raw.
Yeah.
If you want to call it that way, right? There are very few vegetables that you eat raw in India. Other than tomato, some people will have kakdi and some people will have mooli. Like that, there are a few somebody may take. But most of the vegetables, if you see Indian culture, we will boil it, we'll cook it, and then only have. Right? So there is now a practice ki salad khao, all that is not good for Indians. That will increase vata. आपका नाम मुझे आपने बताया नहीं क्योंकि आपका नाम यहाँ पे लिखा नहीं है. आप जरा बताइएगा अपना नाम.
I'm Swaraj Singh. I am Swaraj Singh.
Okay. Very nice to meet you.
Swaraj Singh.
Samajh gaya. Namaste,
Thank you, Dr.
Swaraj.
Rajiv.
Namaste, yeah.
Yeah.
So the point I was telling is that this piece that Indians don't eat raw things. You'll always do a small cooking before you eat anything raw, right? Please understand that. So that is why we have to understand that my Agni, that your answer is correct. If I eat raw vegetables, my Vata goes up, right? And my Agni will come down. So even moong dal, we do a small vagar and then take it. We don't take moong dal sprouts. It's very nice for Westerners, not for us. Okay. Just remember all this. Because our Agni is of a different kind. We are trained over generations to eat cooked food. Okay. So you'll see Americans can even take meat which is uncooked, or Scandinavians can do. But if we try eating uncooked meat, those people who eat meat, they will have a stomach problem, and soon we'll have other issues. Okay, so going back, the Agni, Manda Agni, Tikshna Agni, Vishama Agni, Sama Agni. How do I know my Agni is proper? This is very important to know. Is my hunger will come at regular intervals. So 8 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, like that fixed time, I will feel hungry properly. Right? Secondly, after I finish eating, I told you Agni is only in relation to the food I eat. When I eat my food, after I finish eating my food, I'll feel light. I don't feel sleepy. Right? So whenever you eat food that you feel sluggish, you know that the food was too heavy for my Agni. That food could have been very light for my nephew, my uncle, my brother-in-law, whoever. But for me, it is too heavy. It is very clear. Right? So I feel light after this thing. Third thing, I don't feel any of the other issues like burning, bloating. None of that is there. Right? Fourth thing to understand in some of the balanced Agni is if I don't eat food, I'm hungry. But if I don't eat food, I can remain hungry without problems for a longer period. I will not get restless, right? I will not feel tired. It is a very balanced thing. So if you want to understand for everybody, the ideal thing to do is to see how do you get your Agni to Sama Agni, which is a balanced Agni. Sama Agni means you're in good health, you're protecting your health, right? Now to your question, can I take a Manda Agni and make it a Sama Agni? Yes, very much. If it is a minor deviation, you change your diet and lifestyle, you see what am I eating heavy, right? Dahi is very heavy. Buttermilk is improving Agni. Dahi will reduce Agni. So dahi nikalo, raita nikalo, move to chas. Immediately your Agni will become better, right? Cold things avoid karo, right? Warm things khao, Agni will come up. Light to digest. So if I give light food, gradually my Agni will come up. All these are things which are very much part of the overall thing of adjusting this thing. If Tikshna Agni is there, I should take opposite this thing. So very important principle you need to understand. Let me go back here to this quick thing, which is, yeah. Right. So if you go here, this is very important. Yeah. So you just see this, you will find that I wanted to show you. Yeah. This is very important. Each taste will do opposite things. So we take sweet, it reduces Vata and Pitta, right? Bitter reduces Kabha and Pitta. Astringent is things like tea, right? Actually, Pitta will go up with astringent. I hope my thing is right, but depends on the type. Like you take an acidic thing, it will increase Pitta. But in general, you can find that where my Agni is high, I'm able to take the opposite behavior things which are happening. I just want to be sure. So based on the seasons also, this is changing. So what, I don't want to go here. So let's just give this. So the time available. So I talked about sleep. And as I told, the purpose of sleep to improve sleep, let me complete that so that later on we don't have to get back to that. Sleep is dependent on the mind being calm, which means my Vata being low. So what should I do? Some good hygiene habits. Evening, avoid anything which is too stimulating, anything. Food, which is physical, mental inputs, all of this, I should reduce the stimulation of the brain and the body. Okay. Number two, I should, if I take a warm water bath in the evening, right? If I have the option, during the daytime or in the evening, once I come back once a week, take a proper oil bath, til oil, tilka, take a thing, or the doctor here will recommend an oil, which you're able to do an oil bath and take a warm water bath in the evening, right? It will immediately calm you down. You have the benefit of unlimited water, which is not likely. But if there is a lot of water in your house, you can put a bathtub, sit in a hot tub of water, immediately your vata will come down. If you don't have a bathtub, take a hot water shower, right? Light meal, a hot water shower, then light meal, and you will sleep better. Okay? The other thing is, if you have a heavy meal, you should go not sleep immediately. Go and sit. Basab Banerjee, whom we all know, or some of us know, is aware of this tool that if I have a heavy meal, I should sit in Vajrasan immediately after my heavy meal. The moment I sit in Vajrasan is a key point that happens. My blood supply to my stomach will increase. It will quickly digest my food. Okay? And then I can go to sleep. You'll find suddenly 10 minutes of Vajrasan. You can sit on the bed also and, just for 10 minutes, sit calmly. Immediately, your stomach will feel lighter. Then you can go to sleep. Never go to sleep on a heavy stomach. So we talked about this. We should also understand the bowels is very important. If you start looking at, before you flush your toilet every day when you do, how your bowel should work is, when you wake up in the morning, ideally, without any assistance, normally it should move. Hopefully for many of you, after your treatments, if you take a proper shodhana, that is a proper panchakarma and the correction, your bowel movement should become tremendously regularized. So ideally, you should move to a level where you wake up in the morning, like I told about hunger at regular intervals, you wake up in the morning, that vata time you wake up, your stomach will clear properly, simply, not drinking a lot of water, hot water, 100 things to get the stomach going. You don't need to eat isabgol or other things in the night, nothing. It should go smoothly. Other part, what you excrete, you should look at the stools before you flush it down. It should, if you start looking at it, you'll learn a lot about your health status. Well digested food, right? Again, I told you there's no perfect thing. That food in relation to me, if that food is right for me, that food will float. Okay? If it sinks, it means that there is not enough fiber content. It is heavy, too dense. The correct digested food will be well-formed stools which will float in the commode, right? It will not smell. It will be broadly yellow color, or the food that you ate the previous night will have the color of that thing that you ate the previous night. It will not be broken up. If it's broken up, it indicates that either high pitta and also there is a vata problem, right? So it's all broken up. If it is floating, well-formed, it is properly digested. If it is sticky, when you flush it, you have to flush twice, and the commode is coated, that means there's too much oil than what you can digest. If you've eaten properly and the stools are proper, you'll finish clearing in one go. Your stomach will feel light and complete evacuation at one go. And you'll press the commode, flush, everything gets cleared out, the flush is clean, no problem. Right? There's not excessive gas. When you sit down to pass stools, small little gas will go naturally. Too much gas, that means that your stomach has got, you're eating food which is too gaseous, your vata goes up. The moment you know it's too gaseous, your sleep will be disturbed, right, in the night. So if you start observing how my body ka engine is working, there's so much to learn just from these things. What do I feel when I eat, when I finish eating, when I go to the loo the next morning? All of this is an education in itself, right? Once I become aware, I see, oh, it's sticky. Then I should see yesterday, what did I eat last night? What did I eat yesterday afternoon? What did I see last night? Did I have an argument with somebody last night? Everything you start correlating, right? This is the most important thing of Ayurveda. As we say, Ayurveda never meant to be a medical system where we have hospital, doctor, this, that. Today, we are doing it because we have to have a viable way of doing it. In the olden days, what our ancestors said, can I have the insight or the inner understanding of what is right for me? There's no good and bad. Huh? There's no perfectly good, and what is right and appropriate for me, so that once I know that, that insight will give me the right attitude. If I have the right attitude, I have the right behavior. If I have the right behavior, I have the right outcomes, which is a fulfilling life. Not just telling that I am like Salman Khan or I am like Hema Malini. It is not that. It is, I am in the perfect life potential that the God created me in, living to my full life potential in physical, mental, spiritual life, right? Now let's quickly pause and say, how does Ayurveda achieve this? So Mr. Swaraj Singh did ask, if I am Manda Agni, can I improve my Agni? If I have Tikshna Agni, how do I correct it, right? So I told you it's through Ahara, Vihara, Vichara, Aushadha, Kriya. Diet, lifestyle, mental positioning, the mental correction, state of mind, medicine if required, and therapies. So what are the therapies and medicine?
Can we add meditation also?
Meditation is the mind.
Can we add?
Yes, surely. Meditation is for the mind, purely for the brain.
Yes.
Actually, what you're doing in meditation is what you try to do during sleep. Thoda accelerated kar rahe hain usko, right? Accelerated sleeping, samajh lijiye aap. You take 8 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. In meditation, you're trying to organize your brain the same way. What do you do actually in meditation is that you focus on delivering oxygen to the mind, to the brain. Okay. When you say meditation and pranayama, when you do pranayama, it's delivering oxygen to the brain, right? Which is why we say don't sleep after lunch, because the blood supply is required for the brain when you sleep. But when you sleep on a heavy stomach, the blood supply is required for the stomach also. So when you sleep on a heavy stomach, the blood supply is not enough for the brain and the stomach, which is why you have incomplete digestion, which leads to diabetes, ABCD. Okay, so day sleep is avoidable. So going back to your original point, what do we do when I need therapy? Why do I need therapy? Because my imbalance, my Vikriti has become too heavy to be corrected by diet, lifestyle, medicine. So I have to correct. So how do I correct? So what Ayurveda says, I have srotases, right? There are 13 srotases in the body. Okay? Pranavaha srotas is from the nostrils. When I take it, the breath goes into my body, into my respiratory canal, the trachea, the pharynx, and goes to the lungs. That flow which is happening is called pranavaha srotas. Wherever the prana vayu is going is called pranavaha srotas. Like that, annavaha srotas, from the mouth to the anus is one srotas. I'm connecting everything from the anus to the mouth. Right? So whether I have a gastric problem in the stomach, I have sometimes a throat problem here, or I have a piles issue. Everything is on the elementary annavaha srotas. Like that, I have raktavaha srotas. So every srotas, 13 srotas, what Ayurveda does during the clinical examination, our doctors classically do this. It is not this Nadi Pariksha business. Our doctors are determining which srotas, what type of obstruction is there. Right? So the obstruction can be a block, right? We call it Srota Rodha, can be a Sangha, which is a block, or Ati Pravrti. That means excessive functioning. So when I have, let's say, loose motion, it is Ati Pravrti in the gastric or the Annavaha Srotas. Okay? So there is a excessive thing. So excess function, or my heart is beating too fast, is Ati Pravrti. Am I clear? I have blockage in the arteries, that is a blockage, Sangha, Ati Pravrti. Then there's something called Vimarga Gamana, which is the reverse direction. So food which should go from here should go down and go out. Instead of that, sometimes the food I'm vomiting. So there is a Vimarga Gamana happening. Correct? So what Ayurveda does, it analyzes the 13 srotases, understands from medical history, from the current status, examination, it says what type of Srota Rodha is happening. Right? Now, what does Ayurveda do? It comes out with the following things. It says what doshas are affected amongst Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Is there an increase in Vata, Pitta, Kapha, decrease? What is happening? Which dosha, what has happened? Number two, this Vata, Pitta, Kapha which is increased, is it impacting which tissues in the body? There are 7 tissues broadly in Ayurveda. Rasa, Rakta, Mamsam, Meda, Asti, Majja, Shukra. There are different tissues. Which tissue is affected? Number 2. Number 3, it goes to Agni. Is my Agni Manda, Tikshna, Is it Vishama? That it does. Okay. And the fourth is our ama. Ama is inflammation, which means due to incomplete digestion, there are toxins in the body. Ayurveda attributes. So if you look at two core processes, if you don't have ama and you keep your Agni as Sama Agni, your health will be proper. Very nicely it will continue. So I normally say, if you look at, I'm just quoting, you take Hema Malini, is let's say 75 years old, or I don't know her age. If she still looks young and proper, she's nourishing her tissues properly. Okay, her Agni is proper. She does not have ama. Because if somebody has ama, you can make out. Right? So there are many lakshanas of ama being there. So we'll not go into that right now. So if ama is not being built up in the body, Agni is proper. Okay? And then the Srota Rodha is not there. Any of the Srotas is healthy. Okay. What Ayurveda does, if I'm able to identify the Srota Rodhas, it will immediately, what the doctor is working out, which Srotas, what Rodha, and works out a plan to clear the channels. That's what is happening. So it says your Agni is down, increase the Agni. Agni is Vishama Agni, regularize the Agni. Ama is there in the body, clean the Ama. So we do Ama Pachana, right? So if you look at mostly many treatments will begin with Agni Deepana, that is increasing the Agni, because most people have low Agni. So Agni Deepana, Ama Pachana, digest the Ama, right? For which there are therapies, medicines, all that which is given. Then imagine there are toxins collected in the body. We have to begin with Purva Karma in many cases, which is the preliminary preparatory therapies. So you'll say, why can't I do Ayurveda treatments and give me in 1 week? No, give me 1 week treatment. Why can't we do? Because when I built up imbalances over a period of time, I have to do preparatory therapies to correct the imbalance. Ama Pachana, Agni Deepana. Then imagine that I have toxins spread over the body, right? It is not that sitting in one place. It is in every cell. So how do I correct it? So I can't take a toothbrush and go inside and say, go to every cell and clean the cell and bring back. So how do I clean it? What I do, I take Snehapana, I take the ghee. Ghee, incidentally, is the most perfect substance. Like water is the most perfect liquid, 24 karat gold is the most perfect metal. Ghee is the most perfect dravya. That ghee, we can go to every nook and corner of the body, every cell, right? Every part. You can imagine that when you do cooking in the kitchen, you do some seasoning and you put something, every room in the flat will get the smell of what you're doing. Have you ever thought about it? One kitchen, you do something, every room, everybody is able to get the smell. How? Because those nanoparticles have reached every single nook and corner. I don't know how to answer it, but that's a fact. Similarly, when you take ghee, this medicated ghee delivers the medicine to every nook and corner. Right? Now, that is not required for everybody, depending on the person, type of disease state. But some people need to do it to correct. Without that, you can't detoxify. So I put the ghee. Then once the ghee is reached, you can't straight away go and take ghee, because if you take the full ghee, my body cannot digest. I'll have severe issue. So I have to slowly increase the ghee till the body is able to digest each day progressively. We wait till that. It's all done scientifically. Some people will give, some doctors will give less ghee, some people give more ghee. How to do it, Ayurveda says when to give, how to judge. All of this is measured, written down by the doctors in what we call the Samyak Lakshana charts. There are charts, control charts, which Ayurveda stipulated 3,000 years back. Those charts still do, because one thing, please understand, before you ask me, Ms. Usha, a question, what was applicable 3,000 years back? How is it applicable today? You know, the answer is essentially what we were 3,000 years back and what we are today, we are the same. Okay. We have a tube light, we have this, that, some changes have happened, but we are essentially the same. We eat the same thing, we break down, we excrete, right? All this is happening the way as it used to happen before. Mentally, physically, emotionally, we're the same species. That is why the rules still apply. So I take the Snehapana, I bring it up to a point. Once the Ayurveda doctor judges that you have saturated, you have got, the ghee has reached every point, you bring it back to the stomach. You do Abhyanga, which is a oil therapy, full body, and then you do a steam. The ghee is collected in the stomach. Once it is collected, what you do, Nasya is to clean this part of the body. Vamana is to do, vomiting is to clear this part of the body. Virechana is to clear the abdominal region of the body. And for the lower alimentary canal, the upper alimentary canal, Virechana or purgation will take care. For the lower alimentary canal, we have Vastis, right? Which I call the emperor of treatment. So the Nasya, Vamana, Virechana, Vasti and Rakta Mokshana are the Pancha Karmas. If the Panchakarma is done without the Purva Karmas, it is not proper. Right? Which is why for severe conditions, you need to go through the 14-day, 21-day therapy. There is no shortcut. Right? You have to do preparatory, prepare the thing, and then only go to the next level. Right? So can I make paneer without taking water in the milk and doing this thing? You can't. Paneer means you have to do it in these 3 steps. Only then paneer you get. Right? So nature cannot be played around with is the basic point I'm trying to tell. You can't produce a baby in 3 months. It takes 9 months. Whatever technology is still 9 months. So similarly, you go through Purva Karma, then Pradhana Karma. That detox which we have done, let's say there could be a Virechan, depending on the type of condition, Virechan for Pitta and Vata reduction. And then the Vastis are done very powerfully. It's the most powerful emperor of treatments to cleanse the lower part of the alimentary canal, the colon. No colon cleansing, if you want to call it. It also does what is called delivering the medicine. So the lower colon is full of nerve fibers from the brain. The nerve fibers are going there and residing in the colon. Okay. When I do the enema, those nerve fibers, that area is being cleaned, and also medicine is being delivered to the nerve fibers, which is why the brain gets nourished through this thing. Today, modern medicine talks about gut-brain axis, the stomach and the brain. Today, modern medicine, Ayurveda 3000 years back was using it to stimulate the brain. That is why you find many neurological conditions when you do the Vasti and the sequence of Vastis, the brain calms down, the Vata comes down. Many of the children, ADHD, today many children have attention deficit hyperactive disorders, autistic spectrum disorders. All of these are Vata disorders. When you do Ayurveda, appropriate for a child, you don't do for a child what you do for an adult. The moment you do this, the child's Vata becomes regularized, and you'll find that those symptoms come down drastically. Those attention deficit issues drastically come down, right? We have so many cases, I'm not exaggerating, so many cases where children with autism spectrum disorders calm down, become more sociable, become affectionate. And not just this, even children with genetic disorders, which leads to hyperactivity. All of this, the things come under control. Okay, that's a different discussion. So you do the Panchakarma after the Purva Karma. And once you've done the Panchakarma, the body has got cleansed now, right? Clear. So everybody does not get the Panchakarma. Everybody will get the karma which is required for the Srota cleansing, right? So to getting the Sroto Shuddhikaranam, I will have to do appropriate treatments for the appropriate Srotas which is impacted, right? So once I've done that, now the body is cleansed. Now I have an opportunity in people who are weaker, right? To strengthen the body, right? So I've cleansed the body. Now I can do Brahmana treatments, which are strengthening. There are very special treatments in Ayurveda where, let's say, elderly people whose muscles are down, I do the treatments at that time, the muscles will puff up, muscles will come back, right? There are very famous, there are ancient, you can even see papers, Navarakidi, which is a medicated rice dipped in milk, medicated milk. You put it and put on the body gets strengthened. Pidichil, these are all very strengthening treatments, right? There are other strengthening treatments, right, of various kinds, which are, I'm not detailing it. So, the different Pinda Swedams with some with meat, mutton is extremely good. From ancient times for wounded soldiers, they would do these meat boluses, they would do the kiddies, which are very, very powerful for nourishing the weakened muscle and bone, etc. Right? After that, you get to what is called Rasayana. Rasayana is bringing back the rasa or the sap back into the body. So you look at aging. Aging is when I become dried up. As I grow older, I become drier. So Rasayana is bringing back the rasa. The dryness is being removed and you're nourishing it back. we have some very nice flower thing in the balcony. And today morning, we are seeing it in the sun. Suddenly, it had become dull, right? So it is hydrangea. I think that was the flower. So we just put some water into the pot. Within 30 seconds, the thing is back. It just bounced back to this thing, right? So what Ayurveda is trying to do is to bring back that rasa back into each one of us. So long back, there was Jara Chikitsa, which is elder care. For Jara is the elderly care. So Jara Chikitsa, Rasayana Chikitsa, which is very powerful, which is again diet, appropriate diet. What is appropriate diet? Which my Agni at my age can digest. Okay, because my Agni is dropping. So diet, the lifestyle which is appropriate for elder, then some medicines which can be ghees which are very good to improve the Agni. So keep the Agni proper, and then finally some home lifestyle things you can do it yourself. And if there are problems, then I bring in some extra treatment. So this Rasayana is the medicines which come. Let me conclude with one quick thing too. I began with telling, yes, Ms. Usha.
Yes, sir. I just want to know, see if I'm okay. Now I have come for some purpose. I have a spine injury, fracture. I'm taking treatment here.
Yes,
but
please.
I want to know if after that, if I find okay, I am okay in day to day this thing, I don't find a major problem or anything. If I want to just take treatment, Ayurveda treatment,
very good.
maybe it could be for cleansing and or anything.
Absolutely.
And what should be the time? Within how many?
That all depends on what is the type of treatment you have done, Ms. Usha, the type of treatment for what you've done. But Ayurveda has two purposes. Thank you for the question. One is
the diet will be proper.
I'm sorry,
We can digest easily.
Sorry, your voice was not clear.
Some connection problem is there.
If you can tell it later, once the connection is back up, you could tell that. So the answer to that is there are two broad approaches. Okay, one is that I need to connect my power. So, okay, just give me a second. I have to switch on my power before my battery goes off. Yes, please. So the other thing is to take a person at a certain state of good health. So after your treatment, your swasthya rakshana, which means to maintain good health, there is another set of treatments which can be done. So you need to talk to your doctor and say what you told. If you tell, she will recommend what can be done for a health management program, which is different from a disease management program, right? So both these objectives are there. So I'll quickly come to the point about, and with that,
within 6 months or within 1 year.
Yeah. So you can come back. So based on your condition, the doctor will tell you what you can do to maintain your health at a better state, right? Body and mind. And there are, the doctor will recommend. So I'll conclude by telling this particular thing. Like we talked about Kapha, Pitta, and Vata, which are the three doshas, there is also what you would call the Manasika doshas, which is Rajas, Sattva, Tamas. Okay. Now, this we need to understand because there is a clear connection between the mind status and the body. Okay. So, a tamasic person, tamas is darkness. So, this typically will tell, and we'll conclude in the next 5 minutes. Okay, maximum. That's all. So, I won't keep you waiting too long. So, a tamasic person is somebody whose actions are driven by ignorance, right? Who's acting from darkness. He does not know. So he does not care. He is not only ignorant, but he doesn't care that he's ignorant or knowledgeable, right? So he's willing to do anything for the heck of it. So that is a tamasic person. So what would a tamasic person do? He would eat at the wrong time. He would, like in the middle of the night, go and take a pizza, right? Eat ice cream with it, or indulge in even heavier stuff, right? Unnatural eating, unnatural lifestyle, unnatural sex. All this is classical tamas. Rajas is something which characterizes most of the human beings today, right? which is people, I told you tamas is people whose actions are driven by ignorance. Rajas is people whose actions are driven by passion or desire. Okay, now there is a famous treatise called Ashtanga Hridaya, which is almost 2000 years old. The treatise begins by telling diseases of desire, are treated by the well-known physician is able to treat diseases that arise, all the diseases that arise from desire, meaning every disease begins from desire. That's it. That's the level at which it is operating, right? What happens with desire or rajas is that I have, and this is quickly to tell you that it's not the fact that I want to drink a cup of coffee or I want to drink tea. The problem is if I don't get that cup of coffee at that time, I become restless. It's not just a physiological, it's not a physical issue, right? It is not that I'm thirsty, I don't drink water, I'm thirsty. It's not that. Mentally, I've got to have that thing, because if I don't take it, mentally I'm not there, right? Take, for example, I want my child to become the CEO of a company, or I want my child to pass 12th standard and go to IIT. This thing where I'm so attracted to the outcome, where if that doesn't happen, I will be disturbed. And if it happens, I'll be so happy. Then what would happen is a rajasic person, the mind will be wavering today. The child is yet to go to write the exam. But right now, my mind is worrying, will this child go to IIT or not go to IIT? So a rajasic person is somebody whose mind is affected by the consequences of something which is yet to happen. Right? So take, for example, somebody is coming home for dinner today. I'm going to make a bada khana, right? As I start making, normally I make a very good biryani and make very good curry and all that. But today I know guests are coming and very, very important I make well. So I become very conscious of will this curry and pulao or biryani come out well. In the process, sometimes, because I'm so concerned it should come out well, my biryani will come out not as good as my normal biryani. So what a rajasic person does typically, he's so concerned about him winning that he does not care what happens to somebody else. So it is typically a dog eat dog. I have to win, you have to lose. That type of mindset is a rajasic person. A rajasic person will have vata go up very high and pitta also to some extent, but vata goes up very high because mind becomes restless. Because his mind is so concerned about achieving. The tamasic person, his pitta will go down, vata and kabha will go up. Kabha will go up definitely, vata also may go up in some cases. Okay. Now, in contrast is a sattvic person. Sattvic person is a person who acts from awareness, whose mind is clear and in awareness. Such a person takes every action knowing the pros and cons. His mind is not disturbed, right? He is looking at win-win. So I'll give you an example. In a buffet, there are about 20 people left and there are about 10 rasgullas left in the buffet, in this thing. So different people go there. Now I'm a vata person. I'm a rajasic person. What do? I like rasgullas. So I know that if there are only 20, there are 20 people and I need to eat 2 or 3 rasgullas. So what do? I'll quickly take my 2, 3. I don't care about what the others will get or not get. Unka to baat is there. I got my 3 and I walk off, right? I may take 3 or 5. There is the tamasic person who says, I don't want rasgullas, but I don't care whether I don't want even others to take it. So he's such a destructive mind. He may take the rasgullas, 5 of them and throw it away, right? He may take that is the viprita buddhi, right? Neither does he want, nor does he others should get it, right? It's a dark mind. So he's just playing for fun, right? He'll just take it and throw it away. He does not know, do I want rasgullas? So I'll take it and say, 10 rasgullas, I'll take 2 rasgullas. Then he say, I don't like rasgullas, I throw it away, right? So neither did I get, nor did others get. The sattvic person is a complicated guy. That guy will come and say, 10 rasgullas, 20 people, should I eat, should I not? He will get confused. But a good sattvic guy will say, let me take my 1 rasgulla. I am at least come ahead. I'll take my rasgulla. I'm not overeating. I'm not undereating, right? So this mind is such a person, you'll find his sleep is better. right? Their mind is not disturbed. The Rajasic mind is always disturbed. Tamasic mind is dull mind. Okay. So what we have to understand, if my mind is Rajasic, if I reduce my Vata and manage my Pitta, my Rajas will come down. If I'm Tamasic, I can do Agni Deepana, Amapachana, my Tamas will come down. So typically what they say right from the Bhagavad Gita to any other scripture, if Tamas is high, increase Rajas and then bring back Sattva so that you bring the Rajas under control, right? That's the way to do it. Plus, even in Ayurveda, what would we do? You would increase the Vata, reduce the Kapha, automatically the Tamas will go down, then Rajas is increased, then bring back Sattva with the right food. This is the way that the body and the mind will balance out, right? So Ayurveda gives you a way from body to mind and from mind to body, right? If I can talk to somebody and if the Rajas can be brought down, automatically the Vata symptoms will come down. This is the beauty of Ayurveda. The body, mind, spiritual connection is so well established that easy problems or some problems can be corrected only through the mind, and you correct the thing. So in the olden days, you had methods whereby you'll do pujas, you'll do other things also to make the mind calmer, and then the physical response will come. Okay, I conclude with one particular insight. What an Acharya once said, that when I have illness, it is a mark of good fortune, not a problem, right? Why is it a mark of good fortune? It gives me a chance to introspect and do the right things so that from now on, I go onto the path of good health. So please remember, the whole purpose of Ayurveda and Ayurveda is to make you more aware that when you eat with awareness. When you do things, you do with awareness, so that you're on the path of good health for the rest of your life. My very good wishes to all of you for good health and well-being. Thank you very much.